What does law enforcement think of what the Democrats are saying about situations like this? I mentioned to you that Rashida Tlaib called for the end of policing, and you have other people that are running around saying that we need to abolish police and all of the absurdity that we're constantly exposed to from the left around law enforcement issues. Well, Rashida Tlaib is not particularly well liked, I can tell you that much, based on what we hear from Detroit's police chief, James Craig. He's an African-American police chief of the city of Detroit. Here's what he said about Democratic Representative Tlaib possibly resigning after she called for the abolition of police departments. Here's what a big city police chief who's actually got responsibility for keeping people safe and protecting lives in a high crime urban landscape, unfortunately. Here's what he says about this member of Congress. Play clip 3.
Chief, I've known you a little while now. You're upset with these comments. What should happen to Rashida Tlaib?
You know what? If I'd made comments on par with her, they'd be calling for my resignation. Now,
should Rashida Tlaib resign?
By a very small margin.
I'm sorry,
I'd love to see her resign. I'd throw a goodbye party. I'd have the party, Charlie. I'd throw her a party. Let her go. Who is she speaking for, Charlie? Let me just say this. When you talk about abolishing police, incarceration, you talk about safe cities, what do you think the residents in Detroit want? I know, I speak with them. They're reckless, Charlie. So is she truly representing the people, or is she representing a fringe group?
Police chief knows she is representing a fringe group. I can't say it enough here because you're not hearing this elsewhere in the media. 2020 was the worst year for violent crime in America in over 20 years. It's not because of the pandemic, folks. That doesn't make any sense. Fewer people interacting, fewer people, in public places. Sorry. That doesn't add up. It's police pulling back from their jobs because they're no longer backed up because of the madness of Democrat defund the police narratives. That's why you have more people dead, more people brutally attacked, raped, robbed, home invasions, carjackings, more of all of that across the nation, thanks to the narrative of BLM pushed by the Democrat Party and the corporate media. That is what happened. They don't take any responsibility for it. They don't care because it was for them, they viewed it as a good base turnout issue. Gives them a sense of righteousness, right? The godless Democrat Party gets to just pose as the great civil rights heroes of our current era because they want to get rid of all cops. It's hard to really think that anybody who believes it's a good idea, it's hard to think that they understand anything about this. Because what ends up happening is when you really push, on whether it's Rashida Tlaib or Maxine Waters or anyone else who says defund the police and say, what exactly is it you'd like to see happen? Then they start spouting some nonsense. Well, when we say defund the police, we want to do something else. This happened to AOC, too, over the abolish ICE fiasco in 2018, 2019. That was the thing that got you a lot of social media likes. Remember, only 20% of the country's on Twitter and something like 2% is really active on Twitter. So you really have, let's call it, I don't know. You got 6, 7, 8 million people who are really on Twitter a lot, and then everyone else is just living their lives. But Twitter is used as especially by the people who are very politically active, used as a kind of litmus test and also a means of assessing where the base is. But it got a lot of likes to write on Twitter about abolish ICE. And then what happened was people started, the credulous rubes over at CNN were, well, Ms. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you're a member of Congress and you'd like to abolish ICE. So what will we replace it with? And then everyone got kind of silent. So it was like, well, we're going to come up with another federal body that's not Immigrations and Customs Enforcement that will do the job of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Okay. What are we going to call it? DICE? Democrat immigrations and customs enforcement. What difference does it make? You're going to have a federal agency, which is going to be imperfect and a slothful bureaucracy, but it's going to be tasked with the same mission. You're going to have a lot of the same problems at the border. So what would it even accomplish? Nothing. But it's just about how it feels to say this stuff. It's just about how much attention you could get from screaming about this. Doesn't matter how dumb it is. It does, you get unfortunately, a lot of stupid people out there who listen to things like abolish ICE, and they think, yeah, that's a good idea. Defund police. Oh, yeah, sign me up for that. They ignore the polling, the very clear polling that shows all Americans want either the same or more police in their neighborhoods by clear majorities, including black Americans. Because my fellow Americans who are black want to be safe and secure and live with rule of law just like everybody else. Right? This is not hard. When you view all people as people, and when you get away from the identity politics and insanity, you can see this for exactly what it is. I mean, even in the highest crime communities in the country, whether they're talking about a predominantly minority community or not, less than 1% of people are committing the violent crimes. So 99 out of 100, more than 99 out of 100, whether we're talking about, rough parts of a major city or a suburb that's maybe got a crime problem, 99% plus of the people there don't want any violence, have no part of the violence, and they want. So how do you actually accomplish that? With law enforcement's help, with law enforcement coming from within that community and standing watch on the wall, so to speak. That's it. There is no alternative. We have no alternative. If we had a society full of angels, well, then maybe we could have a different conversation. But we don't, and we know we're not going to. And in the meantime, running this experiment to prove once again to the childish, whiny Democrats that their ideas about policing are stupid, people suffer. There are consequences that come from this. Here's the Detroit Police Chief, James Craig, again, about Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, play 17.
You describe Tlaib's comments as reckless and disgusting. Why?
Absolutely. They are reckless and disgusting, particularly in this time that we're in today. And certainly there's been an increased assault on the men and women who serve across this country. As recent as just early this morning, unprovoked, an individual came into a crime scene and began shooting at our officers. And so while we can't definitively say those comments are the reason, but the anti-police rhetoric is just too much. I mean, even we think about Representative Waters, when she makes statements, get more confrontational. What does that mean? But as it relates directly to Rashida Tlaib, this is about her putting attention to herself. That's exactly what it's designed to do. It's not productive. She doesn't speak for the majority of Detroiters. The majority of Detroiters support this police department. They want effective and constitutional policing. And to make statements like abolish policing, abolish incarceration, certainly is counterproductive.
You notice how the CNN anchor there, Berman, sets it up.
Well, why would you say, that it's reckless and stupid to say get rid of all the cops?
As if that's not the most transparently stupid thing a politician has said in recent memory.
Well, why would you say it? Rashida Tlaib, she's a squad, and CNN viewers like to pretend that they're really hip and cool, so they support the squad.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I don't understand. What do you mean?
Maybe we can have another lecture from Bonehead Bro Cuomo about how until white people are shot by police too, nothing will change. Really one of the dumbest rants I've seen on television. It's so stupid and just so destructive as well, and really just so vile that it makes me wonder about the intelligence of any person who could have watched Cuomo go on that rant, not thinking, this guy's a moron who spent too much time throwing dumbbells around when the dumbbell's the one on TV. Really stupid stuff. I mean, could you imagine what it would look like if he had to actually defend that in a debate? Oh, until white people are shot by cops. White people are shot by cops more than anybody else. Because we, yes, are a majority of the U.S. population still, but white people are shot by police. There's no riots. And if you look at the case of Daniel Shaver and Officer Brailsford, that's a case that I looked at. And some of my friends on the right disagree with me on this. Back in 2016, Daniel Lee Shaver of Texas was shot by Officer Philip Brailsford in a La Quinta Inn and Suites in Mesa, Arizona. It was execution on body cam. I mean, that's what it looked like to me. They charged him. They charged Officer Brailsford with murder. Jury said no. I thought it was a horrible miscarriage of justice. Were there any riots? I mean, it's tough to watch that video. If you type in The Hill, Buck Sexton, and Officer Brailsford, it'll come. The old piece I wrote will come up, where I laid it all out for you, and it was appalling. But as unjust as I thought it was, I didn't think that it was going to help anybody to encourage a mob to go steal a bunch of sneakers or loot a 7-Eleven. I didn't think that was going to help anybody, and I try to have some principles and decency, unlike the frauds at CNN and elsewhere, so I hold myself to some standards of conduct. I hold myself to have some obligation of responsibility here. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.